college training manuals to our 30s? No. Are they for real? Thank God for our girlfriends. Hi guys, and welcome to the Get to Know Us episode of Structured Chaos. Whether you're listening to this as soon as we launch or it's 6 months from now, this is the episode you're going to come to learn a little bit about who we are and how we got here. I'm Kyra.
I'm Kelly, half of the Structured Chaos duo. A little bit about me. I am 33 years old. I've lived here in San Diego for about 7.5 years now. I grew up in Northern California until I was about 12, and then we moved to Alaska. So that's like my unique fun fact that I usually tell people when I'm in those awkward situations where you have to come up with a fun fact, and people are usually pretty excited about that one. So I lived in Alaska for 6 years, and then I moved back to California for college. And then I lived in the Bay Area for a little bit and moved my way down to San Diego. So I love it here. I never plan on living anywhere else now. So I work in higher education as an academic advisor, and I've been doing that since college, and it's great. I love to help people, and I get to help students every day on their educational journeys, kind of figure out what they're trying to do with their lives. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do with mine when I was in college. So I was like, you know what? Let me just learn how to help other people. So that's honestly how I got into it. And yeah, so that's like a little bit about me. I am a single girly, so I'm excited to talk about like dating and stuff on the podcast. Who knows, at some point, maybe I'll find someone, but I'm guessing even if you're listening to this in like
Not that maybe I'll find someone.
I mean, like, because someone could be listening to this in like 6 months. I feel like it's probably still be like single girly, which is fine. But I like to do like all different kinds of things in San Diego, go out to eat, try out different restaurants, go to the beach. I like to read. I have a cat named Scout who I love very much. And yeah, just kind of like explore all the things to do here. There's always fun, new, exciting things going on around town. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. What about you, Kyra?
So I'm Kyra. I'm the other half of Structured Chaos. I am 36 years old, and I'm originally from Connecticut, born and raised, never lived anywhere else. I moved out here when I was 24. I've been here for almost 13 years now, and to Kelly's point, I don't ever see myself leaving. I absolutely love it here. I kind of got here because my girlfriends and we took a trip when we were 21, and I thought I was going to live in New York. I was a New York girly through and through. That's where I wanted my life to be. And this was like before really understanding like following your intuition or like listening to that like inner monologue inside of you. And I just couldn't shake San Diego. Like there was something about it that I went back home, and literally for 3 years, I was just like, yep, I still want to be in San Diego. And one of my guy friends had taken a job at the Padres, and my cousin's best friend lived here. And so she would ask me all the time, are you going to come? Are you going to come? And my friend came home. We were out to eat, and he was talking about like how great San Diego was. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, that's it. I'm going. And I just remember everyone being like, okay. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm going. And so that was in December. That was like late December. And by March, I was here. And it's one of the proudest moments to reflect on for me. I would like to say I could still do this again today, but it's almost like ignorance is bliss, and I didn't know what to expect, So I mean, I moved out here with a place to live for a month and no job, and like $300, $400. And here we are 13 years later. I just did whatever I needed to do in order to stay here. And I like have very important people in my life that were like truly like so helpful in that. But yeah, I love it here and I'm glad I trusted my gut. And yeah, I just like never ever want to leave. I love it here. I love the beach. I'm like such a beach person. I grew up on the water. Like my dad is super into boating, so like that's really like my happy place. It's where I feel the most calm and like I can like collect my thoughts and I encourage myself, you know, it's like when I get like my clear messages. Um and so yeah, I love the beach and so obviously, oh, I can go all year round. I mean, sometimes with a sweatshirt, but you know, still there. I'm a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist for 18 years. And that happened because when I was going into fourth grade, I got a really horrible haircut and didn't know on the back end that my mom called my dad and my brother to tell them not to make fun of me before I got home. That's
Oh,
how bad it was. And I just remember saying, like, I never want to make someone feel this way. And it was kind of like, and I used to like always play with like my Barbies and, you know, all that. And I just like knew I wanted to be a hairstylist. And so I've been doing that. And I always tell people, like, yes, I happen to be good at hair, but like what I truly love is like the connection that I get with my clients and like these relationships that I form with them that are so important to me and to them. And I think that that kind of like also, not to jump around, but like is like a catalyst for how we started this podcast, is like because both of us I feel like are really good at connecting with people and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm so excited to be launching this podcast with Kelly finally. And I think that kind of like will now get into how we met and like how this really started.
yeah. So before I moved to San Diego, like I mentioned earlier, I lived in the Bay Area. And when I lived there, I had my regular job during the day. And then I worked at night, some nights and weekends at a restaurant. Basically, I took on that job to make some friends and to not have to sit in traffic, which sounds kind of funny, but where I worked was kind of far from my house and I just was sick of sitting in traffic. So I was like, I can just take this restaurant job after work and kind of like
I feel like
wait
that's
out
a
the traffic.
very, very Kelly thing to have done.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to sit in traffic. I'm just going to get a job. I'm just going to get another job.
Yeah. So I did
Problem
that.
solved.
And I ended up making like a lot of friends my age because I had just graduated college. And so there was a lot of like young people working at the restaurant. Whereas I was working at a university, and so I was working with like a lot of older people, and it was just hard to meet people my age, like in my regular job. So, anyways, when I moved here, I was gonna do the same thing. I worked at a restaurant here for like 1 week, and then I was like, I just like did not work out for me. So then I was like, okay, where would be like another fun place to work where I could like meet like young people, but not a restaurant? And there was a salon near my house that I thought would be like fun. So I ended up taking a job there on weekends, just, as a front desk person. And so that's where Kyra and I ended up meeting. I worked at the front desk and Kyra was a stylist there. And yeah, so that's kind of how we met. And it's funny because it's not like we were even like super close when we worked together. We just
Yeah.
kind of like knew each other and we didn't even work together like all the time or even for that
Hmm.
long of a period of time.
I
I don't
will
know.
say Kelly always had my back because so I just when I moved to the salon that I'm currently at, I wanted to build my clientele. And so I took this job at Dry Bar to like gain clients because it was right near my salon. And so I knew that I wasn't there to like that wasn't like my end game. And so I'd work on Sundays with Kelly and Kelly would always let me go early. Like she was like, "Yeah, you can go cuz like," and I was like, "Real recognize real. Like thank you, girl. Thank you."
Yeah, so I feel like we just like connected in a way that like we would see each other at certain events, or not even events, but just like things outside of work sometimes, like mutual friends things, and just kind of kept in touch. And then now obviously, you know, years down the road, neither of us work there anymore, but we would just kind of see each other and keep in touch. And then about like a little bit over a year ago, Kyra asked me like, would you consider starting a podcast with me? And she was basically like, I know I want to start a podcast, and like, you're the person that I want to do it with. And at first I was like very excited. I did have my own podcast a couple years ago, that didn't, I mean, it didn't last that long just because for various reasons it's kind of hard to maintain one on your own. And I was talking all about dating, and then I kind of like stopped dating, so it's hard to keep up a podcast when you don't have content. So anyways, I was like excited to, you know, at the idea and to do something together, but then I was kind of like, well, I have a lot going on and I don't want to commit to something that I can't 100% commit to. So I said yes, but then I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, I don't have time. And Kyra was basically like, okay, like I'll wait. Like I want to do it with you. I don't want to just like do a podcast in general. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't know, like when. And so then literally like a year later, I was like, okay, I guess now.
Mhm, mhm. I feel like it was so funny in the beginning too, because to Kelly's points, like I really did like knew like I just knew it was going to be Kelly. Like I just knew just based on every interaction that we had and like our conversations, and like we hung out we've hung out consistently since we become friends, which is like a little over 5 years now.
Mhm.
And so I just knew that our dynamic would work, and it wasn't something that I was like quitting my career for, you know,
Mhm.
by any means. And so it was funny because, and when Kelly and I get together, like we would talk for hours. And
Mhm.
so that was like a little bit of like, like mind, like that was like the mind connection to doing this as well with Kelly. Like she's like, I don't have 4 hours to talk every single week, you know? And I was like, yeah, neither do I. And that's not going to be that. And she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't want to disappoint you. And I was like, it's okay. Like, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. This is not something that I'm like going to rush, but it was also something that like I truly knew was going to happen. Like I just knew it. I've, you know, anyone around me for the better half of 7 years, I have been talking about starting a podcast. And to Kelly's point about when she was doing it by herself, I knew that that was not something that I was interested in. I knew that I wanted to have that back and forth dialogue with someone. And then, yeah, Kelly just sat with it and thought about it and then circled back and was like, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, great, let's do it. And, you know, of course, there were still like our ups and downs in the beginning, but I feel like we have come so far. And if you guys only knew like how much work we have put into this and consistency, and I mean, just shout out to Kelly for how much patience this woman has, because one thing about your girl is she doesn't know anything about technology. I'm your girl. And Kelly has really just like taught me so much, put up with me, asking what some would say are not the best questions. You know, some might be very obvious questions. And Kelly just with a smile on her face walks me through it every time. And I cannot thank you enough for that. And like I thought I was organized, but again, not a computer girly. So like everything that I will like write down in a notebook, like Kelly's like, oh, I made 13 files that say the same thing. Like they're already, we just finished the conversation. They're already in our drive. And I'm like, it's a drive.
I'm glad that Kyra appreciates it because I feel like I'm so over the top, but I
No,
just, that's how I organize. I'm like, okay, we have a Google Drive, we have 10 folders, we have 12 to-do lists, like put it on the calendar, whatever, because that's how I function. And it is
great.
interesting that like this was probably the busiest summer of my life. And I decided, okay, now's the time to do the podcast when I'm also doing 100 other things that I haven't done before. But I'm glad with where we're at. We're almost ready to launch. So if you're listening to this not at launch time, hopefully, we're,
You
I
could
mean, we
roll on
will
into an
be,
episode. You could roll on
yes,
into an episode and enjoy
and
it.
you'll see our progression. But it's exciting because we have put so much work into it, and it's worth the wait because we didn't rush things. We took our time and made sure all the details were perfect, what we wanted. And that doesn't happen if you just rush. There's like so
Mm-hmm.
many little details that you don't even know need to be done until you like start doing it.
Yes.
So we're really excited. And I think the thing about us is that we have a lot of similar interests. We like a lot of the same things. So talking about like Bravo shows and stuff, we watch so many of the same shows, and we have similar sense of humor, and we could just talk forever, and we'll go off on like funny, silly tangents that we think are hilarious.
So
But
please just go with it.
yeah, so we like that for us is good because we can just talk and talk and whatever. But then we also have differing opinions on things, or we see things differently, or we've had different life experiences, or we've had some similar life experiences but have gone about them in different ways, or things like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just cool because girls and guys will relate to us in different ways, but we want to be relatable to anyone that
Mm-hmm.
wants to come hang out with us. And we would just want it to feel like you're hanging out with your girlfriends, and be like a place that you can come and just be like, this is fun. I'm just hanging out with my
Right.
girlies and chatting. And, hopefully if you're feeling happy or sad, or, need someone to chat to. And eventually we want it to be, chatting with us in our comments and telling us what you want to talk about. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're dealing with a situation and you want our advice or whatever it might be, like that's the type of stuff we want to talk about, um, because that's the type of place we want to create.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm. I feel like you're definitely going to laugh for sure, whether it's at us or with us. Unclear. Either way, there will be a giggle.
mhm.
Um, and also, I think that's something that both of us really are big on is self growth. And we definitely, as much as we're going to be, talking about reality TV and gossip and all that type of stuff, we're like also simultaneously like truly working on ourselves. And so we're going to connect to that person that's here that also is, on a self growth journey. And we really are positive people, which might be confusing sometimes when we're very negative, but overall, we are positive people.
So that's the chaos part. So the structure was like the Google Drive, the to-do list, and the chaos is like
Us.
just everything else. Yeah.
And I think that both of us also we have a very different perspective to maybe offer people because I'm approaching into my late 30s and I'm single and I don't have children, and I am so happy, but it's not, the norm. And so I think that that's also something that we have to be relatable because oftentimes you hear women in their 30s, oh, they're expected to be married, they're expected to be a mom, and neither of us are that. And we do have an age gap as well. And so I think that that's like something to talk about as well. And like, I mean, and I'm not saying that in a way in like which like, oh, like, oh my God, I don't have anyone. It's like, no, I'm like so happy. And I don't think that is celebrated enough by people.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm happy that we could bring our age gap relationships to the podcast.
I'm pushing
And
40.
And
So
also, sometimes I am that person that's like, oh, I don't have anyone. So if you're that person, I'm here for you because so that I mean, seriously, like
yeah,
sometimes I am that person,
100%.
and sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't need no man. So it's like we're here, we really are here for any type
Same
of
experiences,
feeling.
different feelings.
We're excited for this journey and to see where it takes us. And we hope that this helped you get to know us a little bit better and that you're excited to come back and listen for more. So make sure that you subscribe if you don't want to miss any of our new episodes. You can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you would rather watch us, you can find us on our YouTube channel. and we will catch you next week.
Bye.